I was very troubled earlier today to learn of the incident here at Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is a very proud Baltimore institution, our largest private employer and arguably the best medical institution on the planet. We must protect these assets. Very quickly, a unified incident command was established. All appropriate law enforcement, city agencies, and Johns Hopkins officials worked together to respond, again, immediately to this incident. Again, the importance of Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins, their whole community, to the city of Baltimore cannot be overstated. The safety and security of Johns Hopkins employees and residents in the surrounding community was paramount through this whole incident. I would like to personally thank the men and women of the Baltimore Police Department as well as the other city agencies for the swift response. I'd also like to thank our Fire Department, Office of Emergency Management, Baltimore County SWAT, the State Department of Emergency Management, and I'd also like to thank our federal partners. The FBI participated and commented how well we worked with them and how well our team worked together. So I'd like to thank them as well. I'd like to now turn this over to our police commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of a timeline on the events as we know them and what facts I can give you up to this point. At about 11:11 this morning, a man now identified as Warren Davis, age 50, was standing outside of room 873 in the Nelson building of Johns Hopkins Hospital. He was being briefed by a doctor, a staff doctor of Johns Hopkins, about the condition of his mother, who's identified as Jean Davis. Mr. Davis was receiving some news about the care and the condition of his mother just outside the doorway to that room when he became emotionally distraught and reacted and was overwhelmed by the news of his mother's condition. During the course of the conversation with the doctor, Mr. Davis removed a small semi-automatic handgun from his waistband area, and fired a single gunshot that struck the doctor in the lower chest, upper abdomen. The doctor collapsed just outside the doorway of the room, and Mr. Davis was last seen running into the room, brandishing the handgun in the direction of his mother, who was confined to the bed. At about 11:45 hours, we established a unified command post to manage the scene. I will tell you that the scene proceeded in according to every protocol and drill established. Hospital, Johns Hopkins security immediately responded and put their emergency response plan into place, and by all evaluation it worked as designed and worked incredibly efficiently to avoid and reduce any injury or risk to any other patients or staff members inside the hospital. Followed very quickly by response of men and women of the Baltimore City Police Department and Fire Department who responded to the call for service. The scene was secured by SWAT team members by the Baltimore City Police Department, supplemented by SWAT members from Baltimore County who provided additional security in the Nelson building of the hospital. At about 1:30 p.m., our SWAT team was able to determine that inside the room, we were able to see that Mr. Davis was down on the floor suffering from an apparent gunshot wound, and that his mother was also unresponsive in her bed. The tactical team made entry into the room and with the assistance of on-scene medical personnel determined that both Mr. Davis and Miss Davis were indeed deceased. At this point, we are treating this case as a murder-suicide, and obviously the shooting of the doctor preceding this discovery. We've moved from a tactical situation to now a crime scene situation and management, and we're in terms of emergency equipment and response, we are actively demobilizing the tactical side of this operation and concentrating our efforts now in determining the full extent of Mr. Davis's background and any other history we could determine associated with this case.
Thank you. I'd like to now bring up Mr. Gary Stevenson from Hopkins to address their response.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Stevenson.
Speak loud.
First of all, I would like to reiterate the thanks for the mayor's office, the city police departments, the fire department, and the other tactical units involved. We train for these things at Hopkins, and I know they train for these things as well. And when these tragedies occur, it is enormously gratifying to see things go as planned. Their response was breathtaking. They were here within moments. They were extraordinarily efficient, behaved in an exemplary manner in the face of this horrible situation. I am not at liberty to reveal details about our physician who was injured. He remains in the OR. However, based on our initial assessment, the wounds do appear to be survivable wounds. And I cannot also answer any questions regarding the shooter or the shooter's mother, and these are due to federal patient privacy laws. I am not at liberty to confirm that now. We will make a full statement at the appropriate time with more details, however.
Are there amendments?
I cannot reveal anything that might reveal his identity. I'm sorry.
Are there magnetometers or anything to prevent people from walking into the hospital?
I will defer that question to our Vice President of Security, Harry Koffenberger.
Were there magnetometers inside the entrance of the building?
Not to my knowledge, Harry.
Hi folks, I'm Harry Koffenberg. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Security for Johns Hopkins Medicine. Let me just say that soon after the incident in Virginia Tech, we recognized that we needed to put together a response plan. And in order to develop that plan, we'd need some guidance and some training, and we turned to our partners in the Baltimore Police Department who were more than willing to step up and help us put together a response and a strategy. Part of that strategy is the sending of text messages to Hopkins employees that an incident has occurred, what that incident is, and giving them brief information on what to do. The security forces responded to the location. They moved to protect the staff, the patients, and to isolate the suspect, and to hold their ground until the police department responded. We do employ off-duty police officers here. We began to shift those resources to the location from where they are deployed the exterior parts of our campus, and the call was made to 911, and their immediate response took place. I heard a question about visitors. We have a process here. State law requires all staff members to have an ID badge, and all visitors to Hopkins are given a wristband. They stop at a patient relations or security desk to get a wristband. We we go through about 80,000 wristbands a week. So you do the math for how many people that come here for every year. I also heard the question about magnetometers. There's only one or two institutions that I'm aware of, hospitals that have them, and they're not on the East Coast. We do search and wand with a magnetometer high-risk patients in our ED areas. We have over 80 doors, loading docks, emergency exits to these campus buildings. To put a magnetometer at 80 doors and the required armed force that would need to be staffing the magnetometers is not realistic. Not in a public hospital or a private hospital, not in a healthcare setting. So I hope I answered your question. No, they do not. That is just someone coming in, they have an appointment, we verify their appointment in most cases, or they're coming to see a patient. That's verified that the patient is there, and then they're given a wristband and sent up. Yes. We have talked about this in the past. In any event like this, there's always going to be an assessment of what occurred and how do we prevent this from occurring the next time. I can tell you that that's happening now. So would this be a consideration? I'm not going to say that it won't be, but once again, 80 doors, 80,000 visitors a week, it's difficult to secure any enterprise with all of those doorways in that manner.
How many officers, armed officers, would have been on duty if we played that out?
Normally, we have the Hopkins security, corporate security is an unarmed force. There are over 400 security officers at this campus. It's one of the largest healthcare security operations in the country, if not the largest. Those 400 security officers are backed up by a pool of approximately 150 to 160 off-duty police officers who work here in uniform. They wear their badge, they're in uniform, and they carry the police radio. They are our emergency responders in an incident like this. So, as I said, we developed a plan. I think that at the end of the day, we're pleased with how the plan was implemented. We did see some issues that can be improved upon, primarily in the way of internal communication. But a lot is happening, and a lot of people are asking for a lot of information in a short period of time. And I think we did a very good job of it.
Said that they saw the officers entering that building before he had sent out the email. Was that email?
There's one. The email is one means of communicating. The first means that we communicate is with an emergency text message, and that went out before I got from my building into the hospital. That text message went out over the Hopkins over a cell phone. Yes. We followed that up with emails and everything else. But all staff members are encouraged routinely. New hires are encouraged routinely to ensure that they sign up for those emergency text messages, not just for here, but for our hospital at Bayview, as well as the university at Homewood. We're all on that same system there. The hospital status.
Okay. Everything is open now. Business as usual resumed immediately when the situation was secured.
Even the front office?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. No. Yeah, Harry.
Well, of course, Nelson 8, and which is up and running again. We did evacuate Nelson 8 at the direction of the police department. We put the Nelson building, which is an 8th floor occupied building. There's an electrical room on the 9th floor. We did put that in a guarded and lockdown position where we kept people off the elevators. We had all the stairwells covered. The staff from Nelson 7 down were kept in place so that the patients continue to have their nursing care, and it was only that floor and that portion of Nelson 8 that was affected. And
okay, we're going to wrap it up. If you have any few brief questions for either the mayor or the police commissioner, to get asked them now.
We have a couple addresses, one in Virginia that we're working to confirm, and in Remington, Virginia, we're working to confirm, and a couple local addresses associated with Mr. Davis that we're working on now.
Previous criminal record?
At this point, it appears to be very minor.
Licensed gun owner?
I don't know too much about the gun status.
Sir, you said you could see into the room. Was that a human looking in, or was it a robotic?
I wouldn't talk too much about that. I just wouldn't want to talk too much about what we do and how we do it. There's no indication anyone heard the 2 additional shots that were fired there. There's no indication that anybody heard that.
But the murder-suicide victims, they were shot.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Single gunshot wounds to the head.
Do you believe that those shots were fired immediately after he shot the doctor?
It's tough for me to speculate on that. No one heard the shot, so it's tough for me to know between 11:11 and 13:30 or 1:30 p.m. when we made the entry. But I can tell you no one heard those shots.